Good evening. How's everyone going? Sorry, I was not able to log in, so it took me a little bit of time, but I'm here. How is everybody doing today? Is everybody having a great day? I hope everybody is, or had a great day today. It is just past 10:45 here in Tokyo. I'm trying to get back onto my regular Thursday night live lessons. I did one last week. I did one earlier on Monday today, or this week as well. Hopefully you were able to join it. If you were not able to, then hopefully you can join it the next time I do a lesson. All right, and today, as you can see, we're going to be studying travel English. Travel English is what we will be talking about today. And the main thing we're going to be talking about today is going to be hotels, as well as out and about. Out and about. So if you're wondering what out and about means, and don't mind me, I'm looking at my other computer screen here. I'm trying to just send the right lesson to my computer. I've got two computers going here. One is making the lessons, one I'm actually doing the lessons here. So just give me a second here. While I do that, I've got some people who have said hello. Manuel, how are you today? Yes, my name is Shelly. Yes, my name is Shelly. It is not a common name, Manuel, especially for North America, for Canada and America. It's not a very common name. In fact, it's usually used as a girl's name. But that's my name. All right, so that little beep you heard was the lesson being put onto my screen here. And all right, perfect. I'm going to change my language to English. I'm going to put the lesson onto the screen. So as I was saying, out and about is something that we say in English that when you're going outside. So when you travel, of course you're in your hotel, but you want to explore the city. Then when you explore the city, you're going outside. So you go out, and then about means you go around. You go around the city. So Manuel, you're pretty well. That's good. That's good. I'm glad to hear that. What time is it there, by the way, Manuel? What time is it over there for you? It is what, 10:50 over here. Well, how about over there for you? What time is it? Is it the same time? Is it early in the morning? Is it late at night? Is it Thursday or is it Wednesday? I'm just going to do a little bit of small talk here because we're going to jump right into the lesson. So I want to make sure that everybody who has planned to join does join before we start the lesson. By the way, I love your name, Manuel. Manuel Alejandro Molina Bastidas. That's a great name. Okay. Supergirl. Hello, Supergirl. How are you today? I hope you're having a great day. So, as you can see from the title of today's lesson, it says Travel English, Hotel, and Out and About. So that's what we're going to be studying. Karina, good morning. Good morning to you. It's evening for me. I hope you have a great day today. It was pretty cold here today in Tokyo, and it's raining now, so that's not good. But spring is in the air here. It's finally starting to turn. The weather is getting a little bit warmer. The flowers are starting to blossom. So let's get started. We're going to start with hotel English. So today's lesson is going to be a little bit challenging, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to give everybody all of the phrases that we will use at the beginning of the lesson. Then after I give you the phrases, next, I will give you some different situations. And you have to use the phrases that are in this box that you can see on the screen. So you have to either remember the phrases, or if you want, you take a screenshot of it or write it down, however you want to do it. Let's look at check-in here. Whenever you go to a hotel, the first thing you have to do is check in. Now, when you check in at a hotel, a lot of English books, a lot of travel English books, they give you a lot of different phrases that you could use, that they want you to practice. But honestly, I think it's very important that we study the English that is used in the hotel. And when you go to a hotel, you don't need to communicate so much at the beginning. First thing you're going to say is right here. We'd like to check in. That's all. We'd like to check in. You don't need to say anything else. Just the first thing you say is, we'd like to check in. Maybe you could say this. We have a reservation under, and then your last name. Now, I'm going to put a star here for this one. We have a reservation under, for example, my last name is Sharma, so we have a reservation under Sharma. We have a reservation under Bastidas. We have a reservation under Mars, depending on what your last name is. Now, this could also be used in restaurants. So not only hotels, but in restaurants as well. You could say we have a reservation under, and the name. So make sure you remember it has to be under. All right, so those are basically the only two phrases that you need when you check in. Usually everything else, the front desk will ask you. They might ask you, possibly they could ask you, so let's say this is the front desk worker. They might ask you, can I see your ID? Can I see your ID? ID here means identification. All right, so can I see your ID? So you just hand them your passport or your driver's license or whatever. Other than that, there's not a lot of communication. They're going to type in your name. They're going to give you a room key, and they're going to say, welcome to the hotel. The main thing I want to study today is not checking in, but it's going to be how you communicate while you're in the hotel. All right, so a lot of times when we're in a hotel, we need to communicate. We must talk with the front desk worker, with the concierge, with different people. And the most common thing that as a customer is we want to get something. We want something. All right. Now, for example, if you are in your hotel room, but there are not enough towels, you want more towels. What if there's no toothbrush in your room? You want a toothbrush. Anytime you want something, the question I want you to remember is, can we get? Get means to receive. Receive. Give is this way. So during Christmas, during my friend's birthday, I give a present. But when it's my birthday, I get a present. So it's coming this way. So in a hotel, anytime you want something, it's always going to be, can we get? If you are traveling alone, just you, then it's going to be, of course, can I get? But if you're traveling with your friend, family, coworkers, you're in one room, can we get? Now, I've got some example sentences here. I've got, can we get 2 extra towels? So that means I have towels, but I want 2 more. I want 2 more. Can we get a toothbrush? I like this one. Please remember this one. Can we get a wake-up call for 6 a.m.? So maybe you want the front desk to call you in the morning. You want them to be your alarm clock. So you would call the front desk and you would say, can we get a wake-up call for 6 a.m.? Last one maybe you could ask is, can we get an extra bed? All right. The other question I think that I often ask in a hotel is this. What time is checkout? What time is checkout? Now, I'm going to add one more phrase here for up here. Can we get? And I really like this one. I do this always. Every time I'm in a hotel, I always ask, can we get a late checkout? Can we get a late checkout? Checkout time is usually 10 a.m., possibly 11. So I want a late checkout. That means usually they give you 1 extra hour. Okay, so, but I want you to really remember this phrase, can we get? And again, we can use it in restaurants also. You can use it in restaurants. Anytime you want something, please use can we get? And if you wanted to be more polite, again, you could say, could we get? But can is completely fine. It's very common. I always usually use can. Now, this is talking to the front desk. This is talking about something you need in the hotel. But sometimes you want information about outside the hotel. That's when we talk to the concierge. All right. When we talk to the concierge, they have a lot of information about the area. My favorite question for the concierge is always this. Can you recommend something near here? And for me, I always ask about restaurants. Can you recommend a good restaurant near here? Can you recommend a good restaurant near here? And then you could, put anything. Could you recommend a Japanese restaurant near here, a casual restaurant, a seafood restaurant? Could you recommend a place to go shopping near here? All right, so that's another one I could add. A place to go shopping. So here I'm asking for a recommendation. All right, Supergirl, you have a question. Can I ask you a question? What is the best way to ask the front desk if it is okay to use their pool before checking in? Sometimes you arrive at the pool before checking in time. And okay, you basically said it in your question there. So what I would say in that situation, so just to recap for everyone, Supergirl is asking, sometimes you've checked in early and you want to use some of the facilities. In this case, Supergirl wants to use the pool. So she's arrived early. She cannot check in yet, but she wants to use some of the facilities like the pool. So I would, again, here we're always going to be using a can or could question. We're going to go back to the top. Can we get? Right? We're not going to say get. We're going to change the verb. It's can, again, I or we. I would say this. Can we use the pool while we wait? Can we use the pool while we wait? All right. So again, a lot of times in a hotel, most of the times it's you want something. You want to do something. So it's always going to be can I, could I. All right. And of course, another thing you would want to ask is, can we check our bags? Can we check our bags? That means you want them to hold your bags. So it's kind of like in the airport, we check in our bags, but this is in a hotel. So can we check our bags? All right, Supergirl, good question. All right, one more thing. This is just sort of my own experience. Whenever you are talking about a restaurant, so I've said the concierge. The concierge will have a lot of information. A lot of times, though, the concierge, they have relationships with different restaurants. Maybe they have some type of business relationship. So for me, when I am asking for a recommendation, whenever I want good information, honest information, I often will ask the bellhop. All right, so I often will ask the bellhop if you're unsure what the bellhop means. Bellhop is the person when you enter the hotel, they are going to help you with your suitcases. They're going to carry the suitcases up to your room. And a lot of times they're out in the front of the hotel. They are helping people to bring their suitcases into the hotel. They are getting taxis for you. I usually like asking them because I feel they give me more honest advice, honest opinions. So, but the sentence is the same. Can you recommend? Can you recommend something near here? Next, directions. You always want to know about directions when you're traveling. You want to know how to go somewhere. So that question would be here. Excuse me, how do we get to the something from here? How do we get to the beach from here? How do we get to the Great Barrier Reef from here? How do we get to the rainforest, the zoo, the shopping center from here? All right, and the last two questions I will talk about at hotels is, what do you recommend doing? And I made a mistake here. This should say in the city. What do you recommend doing in the city? Or if you can put the name of the city, what do you recommend doing in New York? What do you recommend doing in Singapore? What do you recommend doing in, Sao Paulo? Last one. Can you get a taxi for us? All right. So when you go outside, you want to get a taxi. You usually ask the bellhop, and they will arrange a taxi for you. Can you get a taxi for us? Or a way to say this is, can you get us a taxi? Same meaning, just a different way to say it. Okay, got it. Explains the whole situation for the fence. And I was wondering if you guys have a phrase for it. Yeah, we generally just ask directly what we want. We don't really explain the situation. We just ask. Good question, Supergirl. All right, so those are all of the questions that I'm going over today for hotels. Of course, there's more hotel English, but these are all the questions and sentences that I want you to remember. Now, if you want something, it's can we get? All right. The other questions we'd ask is, can you recommend? And then directions, how do I get to? All right. So we're almost going to start the speaking part. We're going to go over one more thing. These next phrases, we're talking about directions, shopping, and camera and photos. When you're out in the city, sometimes you must talk to strangers. You need some help. If you need directions, you'll see some maybe local people. Again, we already did this once, but excuse me, how do I get to? Then you could list anything. How do I get to the bus stop, the taxi stand, the train station? How do I get to the beach, the shopping center? So please remember, how do I get to? When you're out in the city, you sometimes see some different stores. So you want to know their business hours. So what time do you close? What time do you open? And last one, I think, is really important. We all have smartphones now, so we're always wanting to take a lot of photos. So sometimes you need someone to help you. So can you, it's not can I now, so it's can you take our picture for us? Can you take our picture for us? I think this is a very common question. All right, so what we're going to do next, the next part of this lesson is basically I'm going to give you guys a situation. And I want you to listen to the situation. What sentence, what question would you say in that situation? All right, so for example, first situation is you've arrived at the hotel and this is what you want to do. You want to check in. You want to check in. So what do you say? And if you know the answer, just leave it in the comment section. Also, this is a great time as well for me to tell people who are not watching live. If you're watching on the replay, you can also leave all of your answers in the comment section. If you're watching in the replay and you like the lesson so far, you think it's useful, make sure you subscribe to the lesson, or not the lesson, or to the channel. All right, so check in. What is the English we use when you want to check in? I'll give everybody a few more seconds before I put the answer myself. Okay, so checking in is probably the easiest thing to do in a hotel. The easiest thing, all you have to do is say, I'd like to check in. That's the easiest one. Okay, another one we could say, is hi, I have a reservation under, and then please put your name here. And it's the name that you used for the reservation. It's the name that you used for the reservation. Okay, so let's look at number 2 now. Number 2 says, and I'm going to keep number 1 up there so you can see, but number 2 is saying you want 3 extra towels. You want 3 extra towels. What would you ask the front desk? You want 3 extra towels. Whenever I go to a hotel, I'm always asking for extra towels. All right, so whenever you're wanting something, remember, the key word here is you want something. All right, so anytime you want something, right, so that's your goal. It's something's coming this way. You desire something. The verb we are going to use is going to be get. Get. So whenever you want something, you want to get it. You want to receive it. So here you want to get 3 extra towels. So again, the question is going to be very simple. It's going to be, can I, if you're traveling with friends or family, it's we, can we get 3 extra towels? Can we get 3 extra towels? Okay, anytime you want something, this is the phrase you'll be using. Can I get, can we get? You know, not, again, like I've said, this is not only in the hotel. This is, you know, we're using this in restaurants, we're using this in business, we're using this in many situations. All right, so let's look at number 3 now. I'll leave number 2 onto the screen, and I'm going to show you number 3. Number 3 says you want directions to the beach. You want directions to the beach. So you would go to your concierge. Maybe you would talk to the bellhop. Maybe you are already outside of the hotel and you see a stranger. You're going to ask the stranger. But you want directions to the beach. So how do we ask for directions? And I think this is something that's really, really important. I really urge you to remember this phrase. You know, asking for directions. We use this so much in English, so it's important that you remember this. Supergirl, can I have 3 extra towels? Yeah, perfect. So here we change the verb from get to have. Also fine. Also fine. Can I have? All right, let's move that banner. Yeah, so you want directions to the beach. Directions to the beach. I think, you know, it's really important that we remember, we know how to use this. So Supergirl, you have your answer here. Can you tell me how to get to the beach? That is perfect. That is perfect. All right, so remember this, how to get to, it's always going to be there. So we don't need to, you know, we don't need to say anything else. Could you tell me how to get to the beach? This is really important. This, of course, will change. Can you tell me how to get to the mall? Could you tell me how to get to the post office? Can you tell me how to get to the bank? Can you tell me how to get to an ATM? Very, very useful question here. Hello, YFS. How are you today? Can you tell me how to get to the beach? Perfect, perfect, perfect. All right. All right, checkout time. Checkout time. All right, so I've got checkout time and a question mark. So obviously you want to know what the about the checkout time. So you would call the front desk. Maybe you would go to the concierge. Let's do 2. Let's do 4. And we can call it 4A. And then let's call the next one 4B. Let's do, for the second part of it, let's get off the underline. Let's do late checkout. So I want two questions here. One is just asking about the time. The other one is asking about late checkout. So what would we answer here? And what we'll do right here is we'll also go over how we can make a direct question and how we can make an indirect question. So can checkout time, we just want a simple question. You would always ask the front desk, what time is checkout? Very, very simple. What time is checkout? Right now, if we want to be more polite and we want to make a indirect question, let's get rid of this for now. All right, so if I want to get be more polite, here is a direct question. What time is checkout? If I wanted to be more polite, I would ask an indirect question. In this situation, my indirect question would be, can you tell me, right? So that's always the beginning. Can you tell me what time checkout is? Can you tell me what time checkout is? Both of these questions are the same. They're completely the same. They are equal. But this bottom one is more polite. It's an indirect question. So to make an indirect question like this, we always start with, can you tell me? Next, I need a WH question. So I've got what time. And then I've got my subject, then verb. So checkout and then verb. All right, so make sure you remember how to do those indirect questions. And you know what? I will put a banner up here just so everybody can know. Can you tell me so this is going to be the indirect question pattern. Can you tell me? And here it's what time. Subject is checkout. Verb is. Can you tell me what times? Well, can you tell me what time checkout is? It's very, very polite. Supergirl, can you tell me what time the checkout is? Here we don't need the. Yeah, in this situation, we don't need the. Here, because checkout is going to be a general statement. It's checkout time is the same for everyone. So we don't, it's a general noun, so we don't need to have that there. Good question, though, Supergirl. Now, if we expanded number 4, we were asking about checkout time. But if we wanted to expand and we wanted to talk about late, I know checkout time is 10, but I want to check out later. Then, again, the question would be, going to make a banner here. Can I get a late checkout? Can I get a late checkout? All right, so can I get a late checkout? Now, if I wanted to be more polite for this one, then I'm going to be saying something like this. Is it possible? And then to plus verb. So is it possible to get a late checkout? Is it possible to get a late checkout? All right, this will be the more polite sentence. Is it possible to get a late checkout? All right, let's go to number 5. Number 5, we're talking about a good seafood restaurant. A good seafood restaurant. So I've gone traveling. Maybe I'm in Spain. Maybe I'm in Italy. Maybe I'm in Greece. So I really want to eat seafood. I've heard seafood is very famous in those countries. So I want to know a good seafood restaurant. First of all, who would you ask? You're welcome, Supergirl. Who would you ask? You could ask, anybody in the hotel. What are some of the names of the people at the hotel? All right, so you've got the front desk staff, you've got the concierge, you've got the bellhops. Those are some of the main people. And you could ask any one of these 3 people. If you want to go to a restaurant, any one of these you could ask. Yes, concierge. The spelling is a little different, but you are correct, Supergirl. All right, so a good seafood restaurant, that's where I want to go. What do I ask the concierge? What do I ask the bellhop? What do I ask the front desk staff? Whenever you want this type of information is called a recommendation. You want advice. So we always want to say, can you recommend a good seafood restaurant? Can you recommend a good seafood restaurant? I think we had an answer here. Supergirl says, do you know any good seafood restaurants? Here, you need to have an S there. But you're perfect, Supergirl. Do you know any good seafood restaurants? Excellent. Just put the S on the restaurant. Now, I want to go back to my answer. Can you recommend a good seafood restaurant? This sentence is correct. Wow, I put a check mark and I made an arrow. There we go. Back to a check mark. This is correct. But I want to go over some of the most common mistakes. I often hear people say, can you recommend me? Blah, blah, blah. Okay. Sometimes I will hear, can you recommend to me? Blah, blah, blah. Both of these are incorrect. These are definitely incorrect. We never say recommend me. We never say recommend to me. All right. Make sure you use the top one. Can you recommend a good seafood restaurant? All right. Very good. I hope you guys remember that. Please do not make that mistake. Let's look at number 6. Number 6 says you want to wake up at 5 a.m. You want to wake up at 5 a.m., but you don't trust yourself. You know, sometimes I don't trust myself. I have my phone with me. I'll set the alarm, but I'm worried. Maybe I'm gonna fall. I won't wake up, maybe, or I wake up and I turn my alarm off. So whenever I'm in the hotel, I always call the front desk and ask this question. So I want to wake up. I want to make sure I wake up. The question here, again, is something you want. I want to wake up. Anytime you want something, you can use the verb get. Someone used have. That's also okay. Can I have? Personally, I always say get. So, can I get? What do you want to get? What do you want to get? You want to get a wake-up call. Can I get a wake-up call for 5 a.m.? Now, if you said here at 5 a.m., that's okay. That's okay. That's fine. That works. The grammar is fine. Usually in this type of situation, when you're requesting an appointment or a wake-up call, it's going to be 4. All right. So can I get a wake-up call for 5 a.m.? All right, Paramesh, hey, how are you today? Could I get seafood restaurant from you? Could I get maybe? Could you recommend a good seafood restaurant? Is probably better. Could you recommend? Okay, let's move on. Let's get good job, Paramesh, by the way. Number 7. What you want to know now is you're in New York. You want some good activities. You want some information about good activities, things to do in New York. This is a good one too. We're going to go over a really useful kind of grammar for this one here. Now, there's 2 ways we could ask this question. And I'm going to slowly, sometimes I slide up too quickly and it really bothers people's eyes. I want you to look at number 5. Number 5 says, can you recommend a good seafood restaurant? So in this situation, the pattern that we are doing, you know, how are we making this sentence? What you're doing is, can you recommend? I'm going to make a banner here. Okay, so basically what we're doing is, can you recommend, and then a noun. Can you recommend a good restaurant? Can you recommend a good hotel? Can you recommend a good area? Can you recommend a good park? That's always a noun in that situation. But there are other ways to make this sentence. So another 2 ways that we have. One is going to mean the noun. But if we're talking about a verb, can you recommend, and and I want you to put a verb which is using the ing. Okay, now let's make this a little bit, here we've got can you. Sorry, I made a mistake here. We're going to make this to a WH question. So sorry, let me just fix this. Right there. What do you recommend? And then verb ing. What do you recommend? And verb ing. I got ahead of myself there. All right, so what do you recommend plus verb ing. Okay, so for me in this question, I want to know activities. So my question for this would be, what do you recommend doing in New York City? What do you recommend doing in New York City? What do you recommend eating in New York City? Where do you recommend going in New York City? What time do you recommend going there? So this sentence structure is very, very useful. Okay, let's look at number 8. Number 8, you're walking around the city. You want to go to the beach. You want to go to the beach. But you don't know where the beach is. You see a stranger. What will you ask the stranger? I'm making a banner here. Anytime you want to talk about directions, let's see. Let's see. Can we say, what do you recommend having? Good habits. What do you recommend having is okay, but good habits afterwards, I'm not really sure what you mean, Paramesh. What do you recommend? And then we can do an ing. What do you recommend having? If I'm in a restaurant, I might ask the waiter, what do you recommend having? What do you recommend ordering? What do you recommend getting? If you're talking about just good habits, then what good habits do you recommend? What good habits do you recommend? Okay, so for the number 8, though, if we're talking about 8 and you're talking about directions, we're going to be using this. Can you tell me how to get to, and then the place? Can you tell me how to get to, and then the place? So in this situation, you want to go to the beach. The beach is the place. So your answer should be, can you tell me how to get to the beach? Can you tell me how to get to the beach? All right, so can you tell me how to get to the beach? I'll put that on the screen as well if anybody wants to see it. Can you tell me how to get to the beach? All right. We have a few more that we'll do, or actually two more that we'll do. And then we'll just do some Q&A. We'll talk about hotels or out and about, or any question that you want. Number 9, you want a stranger to take your photo. This is a typo. I forgot the R. You want a stranger to take your photo. What will you ask the stranger? What will you ask the stranger? All right, you're out, you're shopping, you see, something beautiful, so you want to get a photo. Of course, we could do a selfie. A lot of people hit the selfie like that, but you want a proper photo. So you ask someone, right? For me, the question, what I would ask is, excuse me. And then for me, I'm going to be more polite because it's a stranger. Could you take my or our photo? Excuse me, could you take my photo? Could you take our photo? Now, if I wanted to be more polite, and honestly, myself, when I'm talking to strangers, I'm usually even more polite because I don't know them. I don't want to bother them. Right? I don't want to impose on their day. So I will be more polite. To be more polite with this same question is, again, we start with excuse me. We're going to change it to become more polite. Would you mind taking my or our photo? All right. So would you mind taking my or our photo? Now, remember, after we have would you mind, we must use ing. Would you mind taking our photo? Okay, so let's see some of the answers here. All right, so can you take my picture in my mobile? Very close, Parmesh. You're like 99% perfect. Can you take my picture with my mobile? With my mobile. Or you can just, body language is how we usually communicate. I think 70-80% of our communication is body language. I don't have my phone with me. If this were my phone, I would say to a stranger, excuse me, can you take our photo? They'll say yes. Then you just give them the phone. You're just giving them the phone. Perfect. All right, Karina, excuse me, can you please take a picture of me? Perfect. Excellent job, Karina. Excuse me, can you please take a picture of me? And then if you change this, Karina, to be more polite, like if we use this one, then maybe your sentence would be, excuse me, would you mind taking a picture of me? Would you mind taking a picture of me? All right, perfect. Good job, Karina. All right, number 10. Number 10 says, you want to know what time a store closes. What time a store closes. What would you ask the store staff, not the hotel? You're already outside. And I like this one too. This is a great one. This is a great question because it sometimes confuses people. So I want to know what time a store closes. Okay, so I want you to imagine. This is very important to visualize, okay? I want you to think, right? You are in a city, you're traveling. Let's say you've come to Tokyo. Actually, no, not Tokyo. Let's say Vancouver, my hometown. You're in Vancouver and you are walking around the city and you really liked one store and you want to visit again later that day, but you don't know what time, their closing is. You don't know their store hours. So before you leave, you want to ask the store clerk. So you're talking to the store clerk. You want to know the closing time of this store. What would your question be? Hi, Karina. What would you ask the staff here? So again, I want you to imagine every time I do one of these situations, I want you to imagine that you are in that situation, because in real life, this is what happens. You are in these situations. So this is how we can use the English. So imagine you're at the store, you're looking at the store staff, and you want to know something. So Parmesh, you say, excuse me, could you tell me close of store time? All right, you're almost there. I understand what you're asking, but we need to change the grammar a little bit. Now, whenever we're using an indirect question, we're going to be using this pattern. We're always going to be using this pattern. Can you tell me? And then WH, subject, and then verb. No worries, Karina. That's okay. I like saying hi to people. So when people say hi to me, I feel happy. So, hi. So Paramesh, try again and put your words into this pattern. So can you tell me is decided. WH is what? Subject is what? And verb is what? So I'm going to give you guys a little time to answer this. So just, put everything into the pattern that I've given you on the screen. So can you tell me is decided? That doesn't change. And then we add our WH. What is the subject? And then what's the verb? All right, Supergirl says, can you tell me what time the store closes? Perfect. Perfect. All right, so I'm going to try to see if this works. So basically, if you see, can you tell me is decided, right? And I want to know, next is the WH, right? So the WH is right here. What time? Let's get rid of that. What time is going to be right here? It's my WH. Next, I need a subject. I need a subject. The subject is the store, right? The store. So the store is going to go here. And I've already got my verb here, which is close. So it's going to go here. Can you tell me what time the store, because it's a specific store, can you tell me what time the store closes? Okay, now I'm going to get rid of these here. Just make sure you put things into the pattern that I've given you on the screen. It's the easiest way. Now, I'm going to give you a different answer. I usually will ask a different. If I'm polite, I'll say this. Can you tell me what time the store closes? Paramesh, can you tell me what time the store closes? Perfect. Perfect, Paramesh. Excellent. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Well done. Now, let's go over something that I would say. You know, as a native speaker, sometimes I want to speak, you know, a little bit, using a little bit more slang. Maybe I'm going to speak a little bit shorter. Maybe I'm not going to be giving an indirect. Maybe I won't be that polite. I'm going to do a direct question. You know, I might just say, excuse me, what time do you close? So I think the interesting thing here is my subject. My subject is you. Now here, you is a person. So I'm talking to the store staff. So of course, people do not open and close. But in this situation, even though I say you, in this sentence, you means the store. You means the store. So excuse me, what time do you close? This means what time does the store close? All right, so I think most native speakers will say you when we're talking about the store. All right, can you please tell us? All right, Karina, can you please tell me what time is the store curfew? Okay, curfew is a great word. Curfew is a great word, but usually curfew is we only use it to talk about someone's time they must go home. The time that someone must go home. For example, when we were young, our parents would tell us, please, you must return home by 11 p.m. So 11 p.m. is the curfew. So for restaurant or hotel or store, not hotel, sorry, store, closed, like you said there, yes. So can you please tell me what time is the store closed? No is. Can you please tell me what time the store closes? Closes. But great word, Karina, curfew. That's a great word. I was very lucky, Karina. When I was young, when I was like in junior high school, my parents never gave me a curfew. That means I could come home anytime. But I always came home early. Okay, so that's all of these situations for hotel and out and about for the travel English. The next one we are going to be doing in the next live lesson is going to be shopping. Shopping. So whenever we travel, we do like to go shopping. This is what we'll cover in the next live lesson. But today's live lesson is focusing more on the hotel and focusing on the city, being out in the city. Now, do you have any questions about today's lesson, or do you have any questions about any topic for English or life in Canada or the US or in Japan? Or if you want to know about some cultural things, for example, tipping, you know, when you go to the States, when you go to the US, when you go to Canada, tipping is a part of the culture. So if you have any questions about tipping when you're at a hotel, you can also ask those things. And I want to ask, does your city, does your country, does your culture, do you have a tipping culture? Is that a part of your culture? In Japan, where I live now, tipping is not a part of this culture. So when you go to a restaurant, when you get the check, whatever is written there, that's all you pay. You do not tip. Even if you want to tip, you do not tip. They don't like when you tip. And if there are no questions, that's fine. You can always ask at another time, a different time. And as always, if anybody wants a copy of this lesson, just let me know. I can send you this PDF. I can send you the PDF with all the answers written as well, if you'd like. All right, it looks like there are no questions. No questions today. Okay. Which is okay. It could be a long day for everyone, or it could just be the beginning of the day for some. It's been an okay day for me. All right, so if you don't have any questions, that's great. You can always ask me later if you remember. Remember, if you're watching this on the replay and you're not a subscriber, if you liked the lesson, then by all means, definitely subscribe to the channel. I'm trying to do a lot of these types of lessons, plus making videos. I haven't made so many videos recently. I've been very busy at work, so I will try to get more videos out soon. But in the meantime, I'm doing as many live lessons as I can. So if you like today's lesson and you want more, subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell, and of course, give me a thumbs up for this video, a like for any of the other videos. I do have a lot of good videos out on my channel, so check those out as well. And I thank you to everyone who joined as well today. Karina, it was great to talk with you. Paramesh, great as always. Supergirl, awesome to see you. YFS, Manuel, you guys are always really active in the lesson. That's awesome. All right, guys, if there are no questions, then I'll call it a night. And my next live lesson will most likely be Saturday, but you never know. I might do one tomorrow night as well. If I do, just make sure you're checking the community site. I try to post when I'm doing the lesson. So check out the community site. Hopefully, if you're a subscriber, you'll get notified. If you're not a subscriber, just check out my channel. You'll see if I'm doing a live or not. If I'm doing a live tomorrow, it'll be about the same time, maybe a little bit later, but definitely around this time, maybe 11 p.m. Japan time. But Saturday for sure. Saturday, I like to do live, so I'll definitely do one on Saturday. All right, guys. Thank you all for joining. I hope you liked the lesson, and I will see you all in the next lesson. See ya.